Good morning. All right, I am going to give it a few minutes, make sure my sound is right, and all of the things. Cut off my phone. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Good morning, Desiree. It's like saying good morning to myself. Good morning. Hi, Sandra. Happy to see your name in the chat always. I hope you're well. We need to catch up. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Good morning, Lisa. Hey, Key. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. Greetings from Fort Lauderdale. Greetings to you. Good morning, El Bell. Happy to have you here. Latasha, bonjour. Good afternoon, Michelle. Happy to have you here in person. Happy to have you here. All right. Happy Sunday. Thank y'all for being here Sunday. Last Sunday, I thank y'all for accommodating me. I was spending time with family and wanted to be there in person and in presence and um, all of those things. So I appreciate you all. And then I had some technical difficulties. We were going to get together later that evening, and we had a storm that took out my power and internet. And so we got together on Monday. So I thank you all for joining. Happy Sunday, Teresa. Happy to see you here. Okay, Michelle. Um, okay. I'll follow back up with that in the chat. Thank you so much. All right. Before I get started, last Monday when I caught up with you all, I just started talking and didn't do my intro. So let me do my intro. Thank you all for accommodating me for starting 5 minutes later. Y'all know sometimes I'm just skidding here on wheels because time gets away from me in the morning. So that is what happened this morning, and I'll explain that a little bit more. So thanks for that, for letting me start late. Hi, Kitty. Happy to have you here. All right, so my introduction. My name is Jewel Pearson, for those who might be new or watching this later. As I introduce myself, I always say I built a kind of fancy tiny house in 2015. And since that time, I have shared my journey to hopefully inspire others who are interested in this tiny house movement. I do offer coaching and consultations to help others navigate that tiny house journey. And you will be able to find links to schedule with me in the video description below once this goes live and I make all the updates. And then as I'm doing all of that, I serve up a lot of representation in the movement. I want us to see ourselves in the movement. I want us to enjoy the movement. I want us to flourish in the movement. I want us to do all of the things, and I want us to be able to talk about our challenges and how our journey is so different from my counterparts, our counterparts, and just make sure that we're able to be here and be successful. If you find this video and the information helpful, I hope you will like it, you'll share it, you'll subscribe to the channel, and then turn on the notifications so that you'll know when stuff is going live over here when we're in community and conversation. All right. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Happy Soul Sunday, Kitty. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here as always. So it is September the 8th, Sunday. I am in San Miguel, Mexico. I got here yesterday. Good morning, Sharon. Um, Hi, Robert. Thank you. I got here yesterday afternoon and will be here for a few Sundays. So that is one of the reasons I was skidding Thank you. It's getting in on two wheels. It is 10 o'clock here, and so my morning. I got in late last night, ran to the market here, and it was a long day of travel, so I woke up a little bit later. So I was trying to do all the things before start time, and needed a few extra minutes. Um, Today, I set our conversation to talk about tiny houses, intentions, and new normals. And that is part of my time here in San Miguel. And so, as you all have been on this journey with me, I am in a space of new normal. I think we kind of identified that word a few weeks ago as the new normal. I'm reading a book, a really good book. It's well, let me say, I just started reading the book. I am on chapter 2. The book is Life is in the Transitions, Mastering Change at Any Age. I'll show you let's do that right. So again, I'm on chapter 2, so I can't say good, bad, or indifferent. So far, I think it's excellent, but it could take a turn, but I don't think it will. But one of the things that drew me to this book is I saw a quote on social media from the author that coined a phrase called a life quake. And the definition of a life quake is a significant, sudden, and unexpected shift in the trajectory of your life that initially feels devastating but has the beneficial outcome of catalyzing personal growth, transformation, and rebirth. A life quake. That is what drew me to reading this book. We all experience change. Sometimes it is significant change, and then how we navigate that change going forward is how how we end up on the other side of that change. One of the things as I've been navigating, so for me, my change obviously was experiencing the mini stroke. The life quake was me experiencing that mini stroke on December the 23rd. Absolutely something that is devastating. Um, Gratefully, it was not as devastating or even mildly as devastating for me as it could have been, but it is absolutely, and I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the person kept saying actually, and I feel like I'm continuing to say absolutely. But it has kind of turned things around for me, and a fabulous way. Initially, it didn't feel so fabulous. But one of the things in conversation with Christine Platt, the Afro minimalist who we talked to 2 Sundays ago, we were talking about navigating change and how things happen, and you have to think and the not you have to a better way to think about things as you're navigating change is not, why is this happening to me, but why is this happening for me, and looking into that change and figuring out, like what this life quake is talking about, the possibilities for personal growth, transformation, and rebirth. Not all change is going to offer that, obviously, because some change just is totally devastating, and you don't you aren't able to see the light in it, maybe, for a long time to come. For me, one of the things that I have been sharing as I share this journey is um, the need to offer myself grace as I navigate this process. That for me is not something I do well. Offering myself grace. I'm really good at offering other people grace, but I don't treat myself the same way that I encourage others or to treat themselves, or even the way I treat others. So that is one of the things that has always been on my list. But in navigating this space, one of the things that was in my head was, okay, Jewel, you have been on leave, out of work since December. So now, not quite 9 months. And my thought process was like I should be in a different place. I should be set. I should be more settled in, more relaxed. And I'm not. And as I've gone back through in looking at this from the lens of grace, is having to recognize that it's been 9 months of two surgeries, navigating all of the medical appointments and discovery to get up to those two surgeries, like what even needs to be done. That was, the beginning process of this happened, the stroke happened, why did it happen? Now what needs to be done? That navigating, as I was sharing the journey with you all, was more of self-advocating. The medical space is a shit show. The doctors will even tell you that they have so much going on that they can't pay attention to all of the things. So you have to be really a self-advocator. You have to do some of the research. And as much as they discourage you from Googling stuff, oftentimes that is the only thing that you have left as you're trying to navigate the space and don't have the attention of the doctors. So it has been a lot of that, of navigating and discovering. And then it has been, prep for surgeries, recovery. Um, at one point, I probably was going to the doctor at least 2 or 3 times a week. For me, going back and forth and then the surgeries, navigating that, the aftercare, having somebody to help care for me, staying in a different space because, as you all know, I live deep in the woods, and so that's not always feasible for care. So it's just been a lot, and then the recoveries. Navigating recovery and a new feelings and new emotions and new, physical things that you're dealing with. And that's also one of the things that I've shared when um, as Teresa and I have spoken about this here sometimes. Hi, Effie Gaskin. When you have things going on that aren't obviously, or ailments, disabilities that aren't obvious from the external perspective, and so you don't look like there's anything wrong with you. Gratefully, that is me for the most part in dealing with this mini stroke. I don't have any external physical symptoms. Got a whole bunch of stuff going on internally, mentally, emotionally, but when you don't look like something is wrong with you, then people often have automatically assumed that you're okay. It is a conversation that I had with someone earlier in the week, especially that strong Black woman. So, oh, you're okay, pick up and keep going. And that's not always the case. Like we deserve time to navigate those spaces. And so that is part of the conversation that I have had to have with self to understand where I've been. And so me, the intentionality, the new normal is figuring out what that looks like going forward. And I have recognized, so things are kind of settling in. It is now, I've got the surgeries behind me, I've got the recovery behind me, and it is like, what is the new normal? And what I've realized is I've just been on go, even though I've been out of work. Like the go prior to the mini stroke was work, the very stressful environment of the job, the work, the management, all of those things. And so that was the go. And then after experiencing the mini stroke, the goal was navigating the space of you had a stroke, what happens now, what to do, doctor appointments, thing after thing after thing. So it was a change of new normal, but the go didn't stop. And so it was just a switch of what is the go. And what I recognized is um, I need a whole reset of my energy. I need a reset, and I've lost the exact word that a reset of my nervous system is basically what I have determined like I'm just on go. I'm used to and just on go. And even I think I shared like having to learn how to just sit and do nothing. I don't know how to sit and do nothing. So it is the absolute reset because we're so conditioned from, early on. It was another conversation I had. Early on, you're focused on in school getting grades. You're achieving your A's and B's, and the bar is getting good grades. And then you graduate, and it's you start working. It's achieving the pay salary, and it's like a carrot that's always out there. And then it's the navigating career. And so you're always on go. It's the kids, it's the family, and you're always on go. And there's very little time or intention set for sitting and being still and listening and resetting the nervous system, which means as you're externally always on go, your body, your internal organs are always on go, and that's not healthy. And so a lot of that culminates in heart issues, heart disease, stroke, illnesses, all of the things that we are experiencing because we're not taking care of our nervous systems. Effie is saying, I have mentioned this before, that when I was going through chemo and radiation, people saying to me, don't look like you have cancer. So what am I supposed to look like? Absolutely. It's such an insensitive thing. And the assumption, I think some of the assumption is you're okay. You don't look like what you've been through. And I think sometimes for some people, again, I'm not saying it's everybody. Some people really want you to look down and look bad so that they can muster up some sympathy for you, or they can in a way look down on you because, oh, she's doing bad. And so in some warped brains, they want you to look bad so that they can then feel pity for you. It's weird. Teresa is saying, exactly, Jewel. I joined a disability council at work to assist in creating a space for people like us and meeting their needs. Absolutely. Hi, Day. Teresa saying a paradigm shift for your new normal. Absolutely. Hi, Lisa. Lisa saying get on slow. Good. Hey, Kathy. Glad to have you here. So the reset of my nervous system is really what I have been focused on for these last few weeks, right before I went to Costa Rica. When I was in Costa Rica with Katrina and Stephanie, I think that was the real awareness for me that I really don't know how to sit down, and not physically not know how to sit down, but sit down and the brain is not racing of all of the things that I need to be doing, all of the things that I should be doing, what needs to happen in the future, all of those things. That's not how you reset your nervous system. And so um, I've come back to the intentionality. I've had to come back to, I've shared from the beginning about my tiny house and how it is saving my life right now. So I've had to go back to looking at the things that I have put in place to allow me to be in a place to reset my nervous system, to allow me to focus on the intentionality that I set when I intentionally built the tiny house for a life that I wanted to be able to live, so that it's not just theory or it's not just words. It is actual lived practice. It is the navigating of a new normal space. Um, Lisa says, I have fibromyalgia, and people say the same thing to me. You look good. You sure you're in that much pain? That's disgusting. It is also why oftentimes we're not heard in the doctor's office because you look fine. Um, so yeah, I don't even like, those are the people that you really want to punch. But yeah, good morning, Natasha. I'm sorry that has happened. Hey, Rosalind, happy Sunday. Um, Thank you, Kathy. So that is the space that I am in. And I set this space up for myself when I built my tiny house. Gratefully, I set this space up for myself. Um, and there is, and we talk about it in the community conversation, so much intention of um, in building a tiny house. And you all know, as I talk about tiny houses, it's not necessarily everybody wants to live in a tiny house on wheels, but it is also about the downsizing, the practicing of downsizing, of living with less, and that can be physical, mental, emotional, all of those things, so that your intention and so that your focus is on you versus the stuff, because we get so caught up in the stuff and the cars and what society is saying we should be doing. And that definition of the life quake, like we all experienced a life quake with COVID and quarantine. Um, and it was a major life quake, a major life shift. The challenge, though, now is so many people have seemingly forgotten that, and a lot of it has to do with um, consumerism and capitalism and all of those things, because they want us to move back to the spaces that we were in prior to that, because that's when we were spending money and we weren't focused on self and sitting and settling, and we were out and about and doing all of the things that further perpetuate capitalism. So they want us to forget that. Kind of like the conversation we were talking about last week with the poor woman who had been in her cube for 4 days dead. So they want us to get back to that lifestyle because it suits them. And so many of us have forgotten that life quake and those lessons that we learned during that time, if we weren't already on that path of what the real priorities were, self and family and health and all of those things. Um, and so that is, hi Joyce, um, that is the conversation that needs to be had. That is the conversation that we need to be having with ourselves. That is the conversation that I'm having with myself. Um, there's so much shifting for me, and it is making sure that I'm listening. And the only way you listen is if you're still and you're focused on listening. If you're focused on being present in the shifts and really paying attention to what is happening, and that is really where I am trying to be. Um, as I take this back to my tiny house, prior to me having the mini stroke, I had toyed with the idea of moving my house. The practicality of it was absurd to me because I had invested so much money, or I have invested so much money into that physical location. I think I told you all when I was having power issues, and then I had to redo running all of the electricity. I spent a mint in electrical wire that can't be dug up. The labor alone for the install, the build of that external of that space, the sunroom space, the porch space, and so the practicality of moving it, um, the accounting brain side, the financial side of me says it's absolutely absurd to do, and I had pushed that down because it is when I thought about it previously, is it's you can deal with this because the practicality of it, the money that you spent into it, says it's not worth it to undo all of this and to spend money in relocating. And the new normal, the life quake in me says absolutely. My intention right now is focused on saving myself. My intention is focused on saving myself, in whatever way that looks like. Um, And again, listening, because um, I having the mini stroke and recognizing how alone I was in that particular moment, was like red flags. Like this ain't good. Um, so listening, I've shared with you all. I did get the button, the you fallen and can't get up button. I did get that, but the intention and the listening in, this isolation isn't good. It isn't good um, for you physically and or mentally. It has been a beautiful space that I've needed to be in to grow to the point that I am right now. I needed to be alone. Um, I don't know that I needed to be as isolated, but that's what it took for me to be able to live in my house. And I'm absolutely not saying any of that was the wrong move to make. I'm not saying any of that. It is exactly where I needed to be at the time. Now it is, where do you need to be going forward? Um, and so, absolutely, Rosalind. And so the listening, the intentionality, um, and again, I go back to the core of my conversation in being present in understanding what I need to be doing and thinking about is really so much centered around my tiny house. Um, that is my sanctuary. Um, I've said to you all, when I go home, I'm talking to my house. Thank you, house. I'll miss you. I'm grateful for you. As much as I want to be in a new space, when I walk inside the doors of my house, that is my perfect space. And it is the grounding. It provides the grounding to keep me sane, for sure. Um, so the core, that the intentionality, the intentionality that was set, um, 10, 12, maybe 13 years ago now. What years is? Yeah, 13 years ago now, as I made the decision to live with less, to downsize. For me, there's so much in the mobility of my house. Again, that's not for everybody, but I get what is bored, I guess, is bored to me is such a juvenile word sometimes. But I get bored in the same space. When I had a traditional conventional home in Atlanta, and my daughter and I had lived there for 10 years, I often wished as I would drive home that there was another way to, excuse me, there were two ways to get into my neighborhood, but I often wish there were multiple ways to get in the neighborhood, because I would get bored with going in the same way and seeing the same things. So the opportunity for mobility is big for me. But there was so much intentionality, some unspoken or even really, under the surface, in the ways I moved to build a house. And it is the foundation of where I am now in navigating the new normal and navigating a life quake. And as I encourage you all, as I encourage everyone, as I try to share this journey, is that's it. Passion Elisa is saying simplicity. That's it. Um, Jocelyn Smith is saying downsizing and living with less. That's where I am today. The stuff is getting in the way of my aspirations. Absolutely. That is it. That is the lighter lifestyle, the simple lifestyle. And Rosalind is saying the evil of capitalism has forced people to get back on the hamster wheel. Absolutely. Um, yes, Michelle, I see your um, your comment. I will, for sure. Um, Y'all know I can't multitask, but I won't forget you. I've got two things that I've got to do. I won't forget. Um, so it is. Are you choosing to get back on that hamster wheel, or are you going to pay attention to the things that we've learned, the things that we've experienced, and are you going to move in an intentional way? Are you going to choose self? Are you going to, um, because as I'm navigating this process, I am in a healing process. It is not just the physical healing. I've had the surgeries. Um, I didn't have to do rehab. There's the physical healing, but there's also emotional healing. There's mental healing. There's spiritual healing. When a life quake happens, there are so many components to that you can't just focus on the physical healing. As I said that I was coming to San Miguel, as I've shared, my house is my sanctuary. It is also a place where um, right now it is a place that is reminding me of the things that I need to do, because my house is sitting in a space where, and I want it to be somewhere different. So I needed to be somewhere where I could sit still and not focus on the external, because if I look out the windows, I'm looking at a space I know that I'm ready to leave. So I decided I was coming to San Miguel because it is a beautiful city, a beautiful walking city. Hills. I'm in a complex that has like two major hills just to get to the gate. But I need the physical exercise, because that's part of this life quake. I've gotten off of my physical exercise, or not as consistent with it, I should say. Um, my eating. One of the things I noticed in Costa Rica, and you all already know this, the food, the quality of food. And I'm not one to really cook, but I went to the market yesterday, got some groceries, got to be in here cooking, because I'm getting ready to try to spend a mint on eating out. That's not what I'm trying to do. But just sitting. But as I was sharing what I was doing with some folks, and y'all know, I don't share a lot, but I needed to let some people know I was going to be gone. um, Not everybody understands. Not everybody gets that journey, because that's not where everyone is. Some folks are still, they're in a different trajectory in their life. So I recognize that for some people, the journey of intentionality and navigating spaces where you're focused on what your new normal looks like, might sound weird to people. Like they might feel like I'm having some type of crisis. I'm not. I'm absolutely not in crisis. And it's weird to say that I am in a really good space after having a major life event, but that's where that quote, the life quake, comes in, where you realize, where it says an unexpected shift in the trajectory of your life that initially feels devastating, but has the beneficial outcome of catalyzing personal growth, transformation, and rebirth. That's absolutely the definition of what I would say I've experienced, having had a mini stroke, having had two surgeries, a life quake, where I'm recognizing there was some beauty in that experience. There was some learning in that experience. There's absolutely some beautiful opportunities for me, and the work that I do within tiny houses within the community, within me sharing my experience. Um, the people that have responded, and I know have gone to the doctor, people that I've shared my experience and have responded to say, I'm advocating more for myself. I'm quitting the job. Those are the things that are the beauty in my experience as as I outwardly share my experience. Um, Teresa's saying you have to let the stuff go that you can't control. That takes grace and strength, and you have both. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. You absolutely have to let the things go. Um, Rawson is saying, we laughed at that button when we were younger. It's absolutely not funny now. It is absolutely not funny. And I don't know that I laughed at it. I mean, we laughed at the commercial because the commercial was so ridiculous. But many, many years ago, I bought one for my great grandmother because she was insistent on living alone. She had lived yes, living on her own terms in her own space. She lived in the backyard of my aunt and uncle's house, but she lived in her own space. So she needed a button. So I purchased a button and I paid for it for her many years ago. Um, Obviously, not at the time recognizing that sooner than later, and that was quite a few years ago, that I'd be purchasing my own button. I chuckle, but it's absolutely necessary. It is a lifesaver. It makes me feel more comfortable for sure. Um, uh, One of the things, so the day that I experienced the mini stroke, I had gone outside for just a few minutes, what I thought was just a few minutes, and I didn't have my phone, I didn't have my Apple Watch, and I never do that. And I was talking to myself about how are you outside? You don't have, and I was talking out loud. You don't have your phone, you don't have your Apple Watch, and my intention was to run out, and I was running back in, and that is not what happened. Um, so I didn't have any of my things to get help, and then the the kicker of it and why I needed the button is, as I experienced the mini stroke, I couldn't talk. So my speech was slurred. So I couldn't have gotten help anyway, initially. So the button, pressing a button, feels a whole lot more secure than even a cell phone at this point. And as I have been dealing with all of these doctor appointments and surgeries, and I look around in like in the recovery rooms or in the waiting rooms of these appointments, I'm looking like, these are old people. And then I'm thinking, I'm old people. So where my black might not be completely cracking, I'm old people. I think my gray is starting to give it away, but I am old people. Maybe I'm not as old as them, but I am old people. I am old people who needs the Media alert button, and I'm okay with it. I have embraced it. So absolutely, that is important that we have the things. I'm grateful for that doggone button, and I'm doing my monthly checks. Hi, Cynthia. I'm doing my monthly check to make sure mine is working like it's supposed to be working. Um, Mara saying, so happy you're better. Traveling with Stephanie Perry, her since she began, and you since this show. I will have my schoolie someday. Oh, congrats. I know you will. Let's put it out there. Yes, I had a beautiful opportunity to travel with Stephanie last month. We spent 2 days, 10 days in Costa Rica. It was a celebration of her 50th. And by the time we got to celebrate my birthday. It also happened, and then Katrina, who was with us, her birthday is the end of this month, so we had a whole birthday celebration going on. So welcome. I'm happy that you know that you'll have your schoolie soon, and we gonna speak that into existence. Um, so yes, I am that old person. I see somebody saying, Lisa is saying, I am slowly disrobing the superwoman cape. Use it, if I use it for my self care. Absolutely. That has done us a disservice. The superwoman, the strong black woman, um, that has done us a disservice because when we need care, oftentimes we won't allow ourselves to ask for care. We won't allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough to admit we need care. We still have this projection of, I'm okay, I don't need anything. And then because we've been projecting for so long, that strong black woman, that persona, people don't offer to help us. They don't know. I don't know if they don't know, because they haven't helped us. We've always been the help to them, and so they haven't. They aren't used to offering us care and help and assistance, and so they don't. Um, so yeah, that we're getting rid of that for sure. Thank you, Teresa. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Patreon, and buy merchandise. Thank you so much. Um, Severe is saying, I'm in 339 square feet. No regrets. I've been here since February 2023. Congratulations. Absolutely. Um, Robert is saying, do you have friends that would consider putting a tiny house near you as a second home to get away from the everyday hustle? I'm thinking that'll help curb some loneliness. So two things. The property I'm on is a friend's property. They don't want anybody else out there. The property is also really far from, it is in a slow rural area that's not progressing at all. So I don't even want to be that far out and in a community like that anymore. And then I want to address the loneliness. There's a difference in aloneness and loneliness, and so I know you didn't mean it in a negative way, but aloneness is what I have experienced. I'm loneliness is something totally different. Aloneness is what I was experiencing. So to answer that question, no, there's not an opportunity for anybody else to be out on the property. Passion Elisa is saying, do whatever makes your heart, soul smile is easier said than done. Absolutely. That is where the intentionality comes in. It is a practice. It is a conscious effort. It is a continuous practice. It is a checking in with yourself um, to initially set your intentions, and to set the intentions you got to check in with yourself, know yourself, be true to yourself, setting those intentions, checking in with yourself on those intentions to see how you're progressing toward those intentions, and then being willing to reset those intentions when they're no longer serving you. So dreaming a new dream. I've spoken about that in my dream presentation that I've given quite a few times as we break down what dreams really mean. The all the words that go into making of dreams. You get to dream a new dream at any point. Even if you started on this intention 1 week ago, 1 month ago, 2 months ago. It is the knowing that you get to do things differently when you realize the path that you're going, or those things aren't working for you. And it is a constant of being in touch with yourself. It is a constant of listening. It is a constant of doing the work to stay focused on self. And Christine was redefining for us selfishness. So, so many people have such a negative connotation of selfishness or being selfish. The new connotation, or the new definition of being focused on us, on what did Christine say? On our profit, and what's the other P word? It's going to come to me, or I'm going to look on my Instagram page. There are two things that selfish now should mean for us, and it's not the negative connotation of our pleasure. How did I miss the other one? Profits and pleasure. Being so focused, selfishly and unapologetically, be chiefly concerned with your own profits and pleasure. That is what we have to be focused on. Hi, Elle. Hi, Elle. Growing up Jamaican, working on running away from NYC to living tiny on a big piece of land in Florida. I am wanting to eat food and fruits from my own yard, planted by my own hands. Amen. That's beautiful. Um, there's so much to be said for that. Um, it's the reset of the nervous system that I have just been talking about. Um, Passion Elisa is saying, I like the word life quake. Okay, so let me put the name of the book in the chat. Y'all know I can't talk and type, so let me do this right now. Okay, there you go. Life is in the Transitions. Bruce Feiler. Um, okay. Um, Let me see this chat. Um, my daughter's in Chicago. Um, Kathy is saying, I'm so happy you are in San Miguel. It is my happy place. Then why aren't you here, Kathy? I guess Portugal. Aren't you in Portugal? Portugal works better for what you need to do. Um, it is such a beautiful place. Just looking at the pictures of it is a happy space. I know there are a lot of Black women here, and Mara. So I'm in San Miguel, Mexico. I want to, obviously I'll connect with some of them while I'm here. My intention is not to be out flitting about, as I often a word that I like to use. I want to be still. I want to be quiet. I want to do the things. So yes. Um, Thank you, Cynthia. Absolutely. Thank y'all for being here for the journey. Um, There's nothing like finding your happy places. I'm truly happy for you. It's a blessing. Thank you. Um, yeah, so it's Joyce is saying, girl, do you? You're the only one that matters, period, full stop. Absolutely. Um, Deborah is saying, thank you for the term life quake. It frames my experience. It was, when I read it, I think it was late at night, and I was like, that is it. And when I keep telling you all, I'm listening and seeing like that things that keep being presented to me, because I have been saying to people that it's weird to be grateful to a mini stroke. It sounds so very weird to say, I am grateful that I experienced a mini stroke because blah, blah, blah. That sounds really weird. It sounds very weird also from the perspective of, I know I have the privilege, I always try to recognize my privilege. I have the privilege of being okay physically. I am, for the most part, I am better than some people I know, I guess I would say, or that I see. I'm still dealing with heart palpitations. I take two pills every day, 12 hours apart. One to keep my heart palpitations under control, and a blood thinner every day, 12 hours apart. Doing that alone is the reminder for me that something is not completely okay with my body, because, and I am so anti-medicine. I have been so anti-medicine, I should say. And now I recognize that this medicine right now is saving my life until said time that I don't have to take it anymore, which is obviously the hope I have. But saying to people, or even saying it to myself, that a mini stroke, I'm grateful to a mini stroke, sounds weird, but then this put it in perspective for me of the life quake, where something that can be so devastating actually, and can change the trajectory of your life, and so that it is something that promotes growth. It is also, people often speak about forest fires. When you think about forest fires, and the decimation, I think that's the right word, of a forest fire. Burnt, everything is black, charred. There's a loss of life, but then you come back in a few years, and that forest is flourishing. It is green. It is lush. It is all the things, because that is what happens after a forest fire. That area comes back, and it comes back into a beautiful space. And so that is kind of the same analogy of a life quake. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Um, Rosalind is saying they have cute necklaces and bracelets for the life alert buttons. So I didn't find any. The funny thing is so I have two. I have one thing, it came as a set. I have one thing that actually is good throughout the United States, which is why I don't have it. And it's kind of big, but you do wear it around your neck. It is, and it's big, and it's got the button on it. And the other thing that they have that is just in your area, it doesn't work outside of your area, was huge, and it was awful. I did not see any cute things for that. And I ended up sending it back because it was huge and awful, and I knew I wasn't going to wear it. But they had a cute watch. I didn't need another watch, so you know me. I took the watch apart. The face of the watch was cute. I took it apart, put it on a necklace, and so that is my second one that I use locally, because it was smaller. It's like, why can't y'all just make this button smaller, instead of me looking like Flavor Flav and announcing to everybody that I have the media alert. I didn't want that, so I didn't. I'm gonna have to look a little bit more. Um, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, get a button. Like I need to be able to get referrals for it. I keep talking to people. Get a button. It is important. Um, Teresa is saying, I'm not claiming the old people label, but I will think about getting that button. Listen, um, Michelle is saying you are older, not old people. Um, Rosalind saying you're not old, you're a recycled teenager that requires frequent visits to the doctor. You know, and the funny part about that, Rosalind, is I when I was at the doctor's office Thursday, and the Lisa's saying we slowed people, not old people. I was in the doctor's office Thursday, and it was a young black girl who was getting me checked in, and she said, "You look good." She said, "You look good." And then she said, for somebody about to be 60. And I was like, whoa, I hadn't even, like, I know how old I am, but I hadn't, 60 wasn't the number that I say in my head. I'm 57. Obviously 60 is coming soon, but I just hadn't put it in perspective of I'm 60. And so she was like, to be close to 60. I was like, okay, yeah, it's up there. But to Rosalind, to your point, most of the time I feel like a damn 12-year-old. Like for so many years, my daughter has asked me, when are you gonna mature? When are you gonna grow up? I'm goofy. Most of the time in my head, I'm goofy. I do not feel like I'm 57. I do feel like I am a recycled teenager. So thank you. I like that. Um, Miss T is saying, I thought it was just me. I am seasoned as well. I was at the doctor recently and thought the same thing. Um, Robert is saying, embrace your beauty and happiness at our age. Oh, absolutely. Embracing it, loving it. The change, like I am um, enjoying the gray. I did not necessarily intend to have hair at this point in life. I enjoyed my being bald. I loved being bald. Having hair is a compromise, so I don't have to beat up my Aunt Mary, who's 101 years old. It would not be nice to beat her up, but at every point, she made sure to let me know she did not appreciate me having a bald head. She just her generation, she could not understand it at all, and so. I think I've shared I made the mistake of going to her house and having hair where I hadn't shaved. I hadn't shaved my head. I hadn't cut my hair off, and she latched onto it. And I have not. I didn't cut it back off to not send her into a coronary. Um, and also because it hurt so much growing back, I was like, well, this is the last time I'm going to have hair if I don't let it grow now because it was so painful. But I'm enjoying this journey, the gray. I'm loving the gray. I'm loving the way the gray is coming in. So I absolutely am embracing my age and what I feel like is my beauty. Thank you right now. Oh, thank you, Bridget. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, oh, Bridget is saying I never applied for that job. I think you're talking about the strong black woman or the never. I never applied for it either, but here we are. Jocelyn saying we need to revise old and young language. You're only old when you cease to stop learning, growing, and evolving. I like that. Absolutely. Um, Passion Elisa is saying, I learned that strong people ask for help. I learned that too. I've learned that strong people have to be okay with sitting in vulnerability. It is absolutely uncomfortable place for me, but I have been there so many times in the last 9 months that it is a humbling space, but it is also a beautiful space in recognizing the people that will show up and the people who will support and the people who um, will respond to that vulnerability in the ways that you know you would absolutely respond. It oftentimes is not the people that you would expect to show up, but the people who are supposed to show up are showing up. And they might not have been the people in your circle, like I talked about it last week, like the people, places, and things. As things are changing around you, you have to recognize that that vulnerability and asking. The universe is going to deliver your people, and it might not be the people that you expected. Um, Black Don't Crack did us another service. Why are we not allowed to simply age? Um, I don't know that I understand you. I don't know that we still ain't cracking it. For me, cracking is the way melanin allows our skin to still flourish and be okay. Flourish, it seems like to be my word today. I feel like the Black Don't Crack is a compliment in that, like my Aunt Mary, 101 years old, and you don't know she's 101 years old. I think it's a testament to melanin and how melanin um, allows us to age differently. But I understand what you're saying. Kathy is saying, yes, strong people do ask for help. Absolutely. Deborah is sharing a resource with us. The Strong Black Woman, How a Myth Endangers the Physical and Mental Health of Black Women. The author is Marita Golden. Absolutely. I would agree with that at 100%. Where we'll suffer in silence because we're used to being able to do all the things and navigate all the spaces and control all of the things. Been there, done that. So I agree. Rosalind is saying isolation is a better word to describe your situation. You are far from lonely. Absolutely, isolation. Being alone, not lonely. Absolutely, I agree with that. No, Robert, I know you didn't mean any disrespect, which is why I explained it to you. But there's a difference, and so many people don't understand the difference in how people move. So I agree with that 100%. Um, Thank you, Kathy. Love catching blessings. Good morning. Happy Sunday from Southern California. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Passionately, I'm so glad I caught your live. This has been so inspiring. Your chat has good vibes too. The Soul Collective community is fabulous over here in the chat, and I adore them. So I'm glad you caught it too. I'm glad you're here. Growing Up Jamaican is saying no such thing as selfish. It's self-care. Uh, Agree. PSW saying, I believe we need some good and loving, trustful friends in our lives who can speak into one another's lives. Agree with that 100%. And also recognizing, like I was just speaking about, it might not be the long term, like friends. There's a glare right on my face. Being okay with and acknowledging, and for me, it was the ideals that I had around friendship and re-examining that and understanding that it might not be years and years of friendship. Those might not be the folks who show up. Those years and years of friendship can absolutely end. And being okay with that and knowing that is normal, knowing as shifts and changes happen, everybody not gonna stay connected, knowing that is normal, being okay with that, not taking it personal or not absorbing it internally, and and finding the people, like you said, who speak into one another's lives. That's important. It becomes even more important. Good morning, Katrina. It becomes even more important as you're setting your intentions and moving intentionally, setting yourself up with those people so that you're surrounded by those people and you're also reciprocal, because the main, like what you're saying, who speak into one another's lives. not just being the taker in that or the giver in that, but making sure those relationships are reciprocal, that everybody is pouring into each other. And that is so important. Um, oh, Kathy is saying, yes, I'm in Portugal exploring. I may get back to Mexico. I thought you were in Portugal. Um, Michelle's saying, use that time and space to be still and listen. Absolutely. That is my intention of being here. Kathy is saying, I'm still trying to figure out where to put my tiny house. Um, I'm going to come back to that, Kathy, in just a minute. Hey, Michelle, happy Sunday. Um, Kathy Jewell has a spreadsheet she has developed. Okay, so I'm going to come back to tiny houses stuff. Let's see. Passionately says, I didn't have a name for it until you said it. Life quake is the word of the day. I recently was diagnosed with Graves' disease and heart palpitations are major. I am sorry that you are dealing with that. That sounds major. Heart. I don't have the Graves' disease piece of it, but the heart palpitations. They are no joke. Hopefully, mine are. Now the non-threatening ones. Previously, I was experiencing some that were bad, which required a change or an additional medicine. But I still have them. But they throw you off so much when they happen. They just are so disconcerting. Has been my word for that. As I've been trying to talk to the doctor about it, when they happen, they just really throw you off, and they just remind you. I think of the vulnerability of your body. So I'm sorry that you're experiencing that, and I wish you wellness. I don't want to act like I made up that word. Life quake is apparently a quote from, I haven't gotten to the part in the book yet, this book that I just shared, Life is in the Transitions. So I didn't make up the word. I don't want to I don't want to act like I made up the word. Passion Lisa is asking, have you changed your food? So my mini stroke had everything to do with discovering I had a hole in my heart, not from habits. Not saying that I don't need to focus on healthy eating. I have, for the most part, other than my candy addiction, which is in process of elimination. I eat well. I kind of do the Mediterranean thing. Um, Salmon, veggies. Those are the things that I generally eat. So changing my food isn't the major piece of what I experience, but I absolutely am focused on that as well. Um, um, let's see. Oh, Michelle is laughing because the life alert when it says Flavor Flav. Yep, that's what I felt like. That's what I felt like. That thing was looking like Flavor Flav. Um, Passion Lisa said, "Don't let your ego get in the way of that life alert. Laugh a lot, decorate, and keep going." No, it didn't. Ego was not there at all. I just realized there was an opportunity, so I sent the big one back and got the watch, took the watch apart, and made something that works for me. So absolutely. Hi Rachel, happy Sunday. That's okay. We're happy you joined. It's okay that you're late. I hope you are well. Um, Yes, I did redesign it. Just took something apart and made it, and I feel like I should sell it. Um, Rosin, we're not growing up. We are Toys R Us kids. Happy early birthday. Happy early birthday. Michelle is saying, I'm 54 and sometimes think, wow, I'm really an adult. Like, really? Like, I, 57, I have a 37-year-old daughter, all of the things, and sometimes I just feel like a kid. But yeah, it is too funny. Um, God bless Aunt Mary. Yes, I spent time with her on Thursday before I left, and she is. Sometimes I feel like she is my second child because sometimes I have to kind of get her together. It's like, what do you like? Okay, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing any of that. 101-year-old. But I adore her, and I know she adores me, which I'm grateful for. But she is a whole mess. And yes, hi Erica, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, yes, this yes. Um, the hair regimen, I don't know that I that I have. Jocelyn saying, please stay goofy. I am goofy. Um, I'm goofy. Sometimes I can't understand how goofy I am. But I'm also I'm only goofy with people who are close to me. Maybe. Let me see. If that's I might have told a lie. No, for the most part I'm just goofy. I won't tell that lie. Um, Talking is what I don't always do, but I'm always goofy. Um, I don't know that I have a hair regimen. It is shampoo, conditioner, leave-in conditioner, coiling, and I twist up the part in the top. That is my hair regimen. I'm not. I've gone to cosmetology school. I will do hair, but I'm not a big hair person, which is why being bald was amazing for me because I didn't have to focus on hair. I will cut it off and think nothing of it. Yes, Nichelle, that's exactly what I was saying. We tend to look younger even when we're not trying. Absolutely. Now, some of us are letting black crack. Some of us are, but for the most part, genetics and melanin keep us okay. Absolutely. And Michelle is saying I'll be 72 in November, and I forget my age. So I can attest to the fact of when we had a meetup and Michelle was there and she shared her age and I couldn't even talk to what she had said because I was like, who, what age? No, ma'am. So absolutely, um, keep it moving. Yes, I understand that. I'm glad you're keeping it moving. Um, I'm 51 and fabulous. 76. I don't feel 76. FE is saying, is a strong black woman because we don't think we will be heard. We don't use our tears to make our point, like white women tears. Um, I don't know. For me, the strong black woman is more focused on we got to do all of the things. We have to be, we take care of everyone, other folks, raise other folks' kids. Um, and it goes back to enslavement, raising other folks' kids. We look out for the community. We do all of the things, and we don't prioritize ourselves. We cry in the dark. We cry at home. We cry in the bed. We cry in the shower. We have our falling apart in quiet, in secret, because we have to do all of the things to take care of all of the things, and then people just become used to us doing those things and rely on us. So I don't know if it is just not about us not being heard, or maybe that's part of it, but I think a lot of it was the expectations. Like even I see the things as we talk about the election in bringing the black woman in to fix things. Like we're not signing up for that. I'm not doing that. But we're not off. I mean, even when we think about like the medical system, and we know in childbirth, and oftentimes we're not heard, to your point, but we're expected to not experience pain, and or like someone said, you know, your pain is not recognized because we're strong black women. I can say for sure, like the very first time I had 2007, when I had blood clots in both of my lungs. I had bunches of blood clots in both of my lungs. I had been in pain for 3 days before I finally went to the emergency room. But I have a very strong, a high tolerance for pain, and part of me has always ignored my pain until it got to a point where it's unmanageable. I don't do that anymore. I listen, and that is part of that strong black woman thing that I feel like. Um, And I think we have to change that narrative for ourselves and for the community of Black women. Sandra is saying, after my life quake in January, I am so happy that I put wider doors in my bedroom on the main level in my tiny home. That absolutely. And the beautiful thing about that is, um, when I speak about tiny houses and the intention that tiny houses allow, if you think about change that has to be made for a tiny house, it is so much less expensive to refit those things. So when you think about having to refit a conventional house for a change like that, it is often a major expense because there's so much that has to be done because of the space of that house, the um, largeness of that house. A tiny house, it's fairly easy to put a wider door in. It's fairly easy to figure out a first floor bedroom situation, even if that means, like I've done, adding on to the house. Like I've considered that my sunroom space will become my bedroom, that first floor space, and that is the intention that you put into designing your house. And I always say, design the house for you and future you, but also knowing that those changes can be made in a smaller space so much more, so much easier and more effectively than in a large space. um, Passionately said, I recently broke up with my best friend of 43 years. I needed to hear everything you just said. That's been the hardest part of the life quake. um, I can relate to that. It is, but it is the beauty in recognizing you've had a beautiful 43 years, and that is just not meant to go into the future space. And you can reflect on the beauty of that. You're going to mourn it. It is grief. Absolutely. It is grief in the new normal without that person, but you also know that the right people will come along that you need for that next part of your journey. So I understand that for sure. Um, Nasuni, I hope I'm saying your Nasuni. Please tell me if I messed up. I hope I didn't mess up your name. I am 60 and I downsized from a 3-bedroom townhome to a small 1-bedroom unit. There's no price on peace. I have rid myself of draining people, blood, and not related. Some folks you have to love from a distance. People, place, and things. My favorite quote from Nina Simone: not staying at tables where love is no longer being served. People, places, and things. I don't associate with people that, and I've shared, having had a mini stroke, I have to physically, emotionally, spiritually guard my heart. I was already on not spending time with people, places that, people that did not mean me good, people that I did not enjoy their company. It's people, places, and things. I don't go to things. I don't go to places. I don't spend my time and my energy as much as, I mean, sometimes you'll land in a space where you didn't know that, that wasn't going to be enjoyable. But then sometimes a quick pivot means you got to leave, or it's a lesson learned for next time. But people, places, and things, absolutely, are places we're not spending those time in those places. Um, Absolutely, Cynthia. Yes, they are, absolutely. Hi, Sadiq. Welcome. Glad you're here. Lisa Governors is asking, is that the same thing as a heart murmur? No, it isn't. Um, Heart palpitations affect your, depending on which ones you're having, they can affect your heart rhythm, the beat of your heart, or your heart rate, the speed of your heart. And it depends on which ones you're having, what kind you're having, where they're happening in which chambers. Ask me how I know. I have been doing all of this research and learning all of these things. Um, when it's affecting your heart rate, speeding up your heart rate, that makes you feel anxious. That was happening to me, and I just couldn't settle in and didn't know what was happening, but my heart rate was higher. A slower heart rate is also challenging. Heartbeat. So my heart palpitations right now are like an extra heartbeat. It feels like flutters. Depending on what type of palpitations, it could feel like flutters. It can also feel like my heart is flipping around in my chest. I've explained it like you see a fish out of water that's just flipping around. So it's different from a heart murmur. Yeah. I eat healthy and make natural organic juices. I need to implement exercise now. Absolutely. 30 minutes, so it doesn't have to be major change. Um, Thank you, Michelle. Yes. Welcome from Philadelphia, PA. One of my favorite aunts lives in Philadelphia. The heart palpitations are different than the hole in my heart. Absolutely. So the heart palpitations, the hole in my heart, y'all know I told y'all I got a device placed that closes the hole in my heart, but I'm trying to look for something to give y'all. But the um, heart palpitations are a result of my heart knowing that something foreign is in my heart, and as it's adjusting to it, it is reacting to there's something foreign in my heart. And so that is what is happening to me. That is the cause of my heart palpitations. Hopefully, and speaking this into yes, this is what's going to happen as the device and it's not any. When I say device, it's more like a plug, a stop. It doesn't do anything other than plug this hole. But as it becomes part of my heart, as skin and muscle and everything envelop that thing in my heart, and it becomes part of my heart, my hope is that the palpitations go away because it's just then at a normal space. Um, Sadiq, I am in San Miguel, Mexico. Um, PR Envy, hello everyone looking for resources to rent a tiny home to try the lifestyle. So Teresa has mentioned this. I'm going to drop the link. Our next um, next Sunday, I will actually do some answering of the frequently asked questions. I'm dropping the link to Cooperative Communities, which is the app that I just released earlier this month, which is what Teresa is speaking about. This is the app that from the manual process that I have been working on to match farmers and tiny house owners. Teresa turned me on to our cousin Billy, who had an app that was similar to this, and then I went with another platform. I found another platform and developed an app that allows, it's a directory, so people who have property for tiny houses and want to rent that property to tiny house owners, current and future tiny house owners who are looking for property. There's a directory for tiny house people who want to create community. So you want to buy land with like-minded folks, tiny house builders who want to get introduced to the community, smaller builders who are just trying to get their services out there, and then tiny houses for sale or for rent. And those can be any types of tiny houses, and it can be Airbnb, trying out the style, all of those things. And so I'm going to I'm going to walk us through the app next Sunday, but I did drop the link. Teresa was mentioning it, so I wanted to drop the link to let you all know the app is there. It's ready. It's done. It is beautiful. I am so proud of it. So yeah, all right. So let me look at these comments, and then it's 11:30. Well, 11:30 here. Thank you, Growing Up Jamaica. Um, Janine, don't worry about them folks. Happy birthday. Um, Passion Lisa says she got folks calling her grandma. I ain't there yet. I'm gonna let y'all have that. Um, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, right. We don't use our tears to make a point because it never worked for us. Others make sure of that. Absolutely. As we all know that. Um, right. Cognitive dissidence, where they don't process our pain at all. There's a lot of intention in them not paying attention to our pain. Um, yes, absolutely. We are from the generation that takes a village to raise a child, um, to not show fear and pain, and we're undoing all of that. We are allowing ourselves all of that. Um, Yeah, so PR Envy is saying relating to all of this, but not letting anyone see me sweat. Let the folks see you sweat so you can get some help and some resources and care you need. Let them see you sweat. Michelle is saying listening today is encouraging me to get off my butt and actually exercise today. I need to get back to it and be more consistent with it. That I mean, that is the thing that we all, the consistency is the thing. That's how you make change. It doesn't have to be major, but consistency is the thing. Right there with you. Absolutely. Um, PR. Yes, Teresa. Thank you. Um, Bridget is saying the judgy judges are schizophrenic. First they say strong black woman. Now they say where's your soft side? We best find our lane and stay in it and love it. Absolutely. We deserve all of the things. We can be strong, but we also should be soft. We need to do what works for us, and not do ourselves a disservice and not being true to who we are and what we need. So absolutely, I agree with that. Um, Thank you. Um Valencia is saying, to me, being a strong black woman is like wearing a mask that doesn't fit the true version of me, true vision of me. Yeah. Hi. Well, we're glad you're here. It's okay you missed a 12 p.m. start time. It's okay. We're glad you're here. Um, Passion Lisa says ashwagandha helps with my heart palpitations. One of the medicines I had something. One of the medicines I've read, I should stay away from that. I had read that it was good for it too, but um, thank you, Kay. But one of my medicines said I should not take it, so I understand it is helpful, but I'm going to have to avoid it right now. Hi, Letitia. Good morning. Um, Letitia is saying, can you attach your info? Which info are you talking about? Tell me what you're looking for, so I can attach it. Yes, Michelle, I am in San Miguel. Um, I have not been here a full 24 hours yet, so I can't tell you how I like it. I think it's beautiful from the ride in. It's cool. It was cool this morning, but I'm going to do some walking, navigating some of these hills. So I have to step back to tell you how I like it. The app sounds exciting. Thank you. It is my baby that I have been working on for a minute. I have put some blood, sweat, and tears into it. But I think it's fabulous. Thank you, Kathy. So it is the thing that I know that the um, movement needed. Um, the work that I started out doing was because I've had to relocate twice because of challenges with racism in rural areas and in an RV park, um, where challenges are often experienced because of racism. I wanted to do something to help others navigate that and not have to experience that. And then it has grown into, and that was the manual process that I was doing with the spreadsheet that um, Teresa mentioned. And then I went into developing this app so that the broader movement can benefit from it and participate, but it also um, prioritizes our safety. Um, so yes. Um, um, something else I was going to say. Oh, and then Kathy, I am, I'm in very, very early stages of conversations around some property some land that I have access to build a community. It, um, it will be, um, it's 45 minutes outside of Charlotte. So it will be the closest tiny house on wheels community to Charlotte. I am, like I said, in very early conversations of that. It will absolutely have to be some crowdfunding, some grants, some all of the things, because I um, don't have the money to up and out um, outright pay for it. But it's coming. So yes, that I'm still working on that. Racism slips into everything. Absolutely, it does. Letitia, oh, I want to consult with you. Absolutely. So I will drop my information, all the stuff I have here. Here's how you get in touch with me and can get on my calendar. Um, that's exciting. Yes, let's make it happen. Crowdfunding, y'all, come on. Kay is saying that's amazing. Thank you and congratulations for taking on such a great challenge, the Jewel Book instead of the Green Book. It's interesting. So many years ago, that's kind of how I started talking about the work and that it was so very unfortunate that here in these times we still need a resource like this. And I referenced the Green Book, have a resource to help us navigate these spaces. But absolutely, thank you so much. Um, I dropped a link to get on my calendar. And let's see. PR saying would love a community of like-minded women. Absolutely. The community. So as I've shared about the app, and Teresa, you asked me a question. Will I be talking about the new property next week more? Which property are you talking about? The one I just shared that I'm in early stages of talking about, or property where I'm considering moving my house? Tell me which one you're talking about. Bridget said I got 5 on it. I appreciate that. So yes, so Bajan Rooted is saying there's a fairly new tiny home community in Ruffton, North Carolina. They are in phase 1. So that's Deidre Cole. When we talked to Deidre here maybe a month ago, Poplar Creek is her tiny house community. She is so that one is about an hour and a half from Charlotte, and I will be sharing. She's having a grand opening at the end of the month, and we're going to be doing a whole weekend of collaboration, attending her um, open house, and then also having a mix and mingle tiny house event. So that is going to be the weekend. Her open house, and I'll be posting all this, and I'll remind you all. Her open house is on Saturday the 28th, and then I am going to host a mix and mingle on the 29th, a meetup mix and mingle. So we'll be doing weekend events, which is I'm leaving San Miguel on the 27th, so I can be there for those events. So the 28th is Poplar Creek's grand opening, the community that you're speaking of in Ruffton. Deidre Cole, Black woman, the first Black um, owned tiny house community on wheels, Black woman owned. So we are obviously supporting, because y'all know that's what I do. So that's on the 28th, and then I'll have a mix and mingle tiny house event on the 29th. So I'll talk about that next Sunday as well. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I intend to be wildly successful. That is on my dream list to accomplish. And so I see the vision for it. The location will be perfect. And so thank you. I appreciate that support. Thank you, Teresa. You said yes, but I still don't know which one you're talking about, whether you're asking about the property that I'm talking about, the land that I'm talking about, the community, or where I'm moving. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Um, Bonjon Rooted is saying, I want to go take a look. Come out on the 28th. Audrey is asking, when you own a tiny home, do you still pay property taxes? I've been thinking about selling my house, and I'm kind of on the fence. So it depends on which type of tiny house you're building. So if you're talking about building a tiny house on foundation, it is going to follow all of the same rules for conventional houses on foundation. So yes, you would pay property taxes. You would follow the same process for a conventional house. You're just building a smaller space. Tiny houses on wheels is built on a trailer. The trailer has a VIN number and a tag, so the taxes that you pay are associated with the tag associated with that trailer. So it is, property taxes are around land ownership and like vehicle ownership. So for tiny house on wheels, the VIN number is what is assigned taxes. Um, Lisa says, as long as we carry our skin color, we will need safe havens. And I'm not trying to give up my skin. Look out. Michelle is asking, are there Black folks doing tiny homes anywhere internationally? So, I mean, for most of the international countries, tiny houses aren't a new concept to them. They live small anyway. Like when I was in Costa Rica, there were a lot of container homes that I saw. They've always built and lived in container homes because they have access to the containers, and they're used to living small. So there's actually there had been a tiny house builder in Costa Rica. I think it's like Tiny Homes Costa Rica. Um, I do know of a couple of Black women who have had intention on building small communities internationally. So um, I don't know of any right in existence right now, but I do know quite a few people who have spoken that there is interest in that. I've had conversations with Charlotte Van Horn for Panama. That is something that I'd like to do, and so we've had those conversations. It just hasn't um, happened yet, but it's not a foreign conversation. It's much of a foreign conversation in other countries as it is for us in the United States. They are already focused on smaller living than we are. Welcome, Audrey. Glad to have you here. Um, Carolina Cares, I do plan to purchase your plans. Is your sunroom added in the plans? It is not. The plans for my tiny house are just the house that was built on the trailer. PR saying I will gladly move to Charlotte. All right. Oh, the community. Okay, so I don't know that I'll have much more information to talk about it, but I'll talk about it high level next week. So yes, Teresa, I can do that. Yes, Bajan Rooted is saying the same thing. The Caribbean has always had tiny homes, small homes that have raised generations. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Earth homes are another international norm that is now new and popular. Those here are super expensive. Those are excuse me, are super expensive. Yes. A friend of mine is having a workshop on building cob homes. I think that's what you call them. Um, yeah, it's not a new concept for them. I mean, it's really not a new concept for the United States when we think about how we've lived, how we've come up. I just heard somebody. It was a conversation. I forgot where I was, but they were somebody was talking about housing and their. Um, I think it was their grandmother having um, just recently, within the last maybe 5 years, having to move out of their family home because the house didn't have running water and still had an outhouse. Like, we know that story. We're not so far removed from that we don't know living small. We just society has moved in a different direction and really assigned poverty to that, which a lot of it, was poverty. But the concept of living small and living with less is not a new conversation. It's just a conversation that we've gotten away from. I'm in the process. I am in the process of plans to visit San Miguel early next year. Very good. I know you will enjoy it. Audra saying, one last question. In tiny home communities, is there a way to own the land as part of investing in building? Makes sense. It depends on the community. I know, as I hear some people who have developed communities and they want to allow people to buy parcels and own the parcel that they put their home on. It just is really going to depend on the community. Some communities you are renting the parking space. It just really depends on the community and what they're offering. Um, I I don't know what I will be able to offer. If somebody doesn't absolutely actually want to sell the land, then they would go more on the lines of just renting the parking space. If somebody doesn't want, is okay with selling the land, then they would lean in that other direction to allow people to own the space. So it's just going to depend on the community owner and their location and plans for that location. But it is possible. I knew what you meant, Bajan Rudit. Um, Society has assigned poverty to so many crucial parts of sustainable living. Absolutely. I remember when I first built my tiny house, um, there were so many conversations about tiny houses being appropriation of poverty. And that conversation that I have shared, there's a whole lot of privilege in me being able to build a tiny house, having the money to build a tiny house, a whole lot of privilege, especially from white folks who were selling houses and deciding to live tiny. Not necessarily an appropriation of poverty, but there has to be some recognition in the fact that there's privilege in being able to do it versus being having to do it. Um, and all like the schoolies and the van life and the car dwellers, all of the some of the people who are in that, and they share, they're kitted out sprinter vans and all of the things where they have the financial ability to do that versus the folks who have to live in a van or in their car because they don't have. And that is a different story. And as long as we are focused, or as long as we remember there's some privilege there, and as long as we, in my case, in my knowing that I had the privilege, I also want to be able to help others navigate that space and offer resources to help people navigate the space. And so that, in my the way I think about it, that is my reach back for um, giving to others, which I think is important. If I understand I had privilege, how do I navigate that space for others who don't have the same privilege? And mine has been in the giving. Mine is in the showing up on Sundays. Mine is in the um, and not everything I do is free. Let me clarify that. I'm not giving everything away, but there are some things and places and ways that I try to help so that I'm bridging the gap in um, the privilege in it being appropriation of poverty. But the piece that you're speaking about is so much of how society says living small and living with less and not having, and these conscious and intentional decisions um, are poverty when, and we've spoken about it before, how like what we were just talking about international travel, and they are so used to living small, and so many times people will go to these countries and just assume they're poor and they don't have and feel pity for these people when they're some of the happiest people ever because they don't have the stress and strife that we have in a capitalistic society. So, yeah, there, we have to acknowledge that. We also have to, push back against the societal standards that because really the intent is to keep you in debt and have you spending more, have you work harder for all of the things and chasing the American dream that's elusive and that carrot and all of those things that absolutely do not allow you to reset your nervous system, and don't allow you to live intentionally and don't allow you to take care of the things that you should take care of as a priority, which would be you and your family and those things. And so they can't have you doing well, so they want to keep you in that race of that kind of stuff. um, Self-sustainable living and not owing anyone anything is privilege and freedom, no matter why. You're incredible for any help you can give. Each one, teach one. Thank you. Um, Growing up Jamaican is saying it's way more expensive per square foot to build a tiny house versus a conventional home. Agree. When you do the math, it absolutely is. A tiny house costs more per square foot than a conventional house. That is kind of just the basic math of it. But when you compare the cost of building a tiny house versus a 15, 30-year mortgage, and the interest rates and all of the things, that's where it starts balancing out for you. So you're right, doing that math, a tiny house is more expensive per square foot. Um, I'm actually going to visit a community in Florida that has lots for sale within the community next week. I like the concept of being able to have land to garden and knowing it's mine. I get it. And that makes sense. I hope that goes well for you. Um, Designed to keep us, excuse me, keep us in debt and keep us as a consumer. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, good people. Um, it is 11:47 here, which means it is almost 2 o'clock East Coast time. Recycle, reuse, repurpose everything possible to stop hamster wheel purchases. Absolutely. Um, all right, I dropping the link to my calendar. I am dropping um, right, Bridget. I am dropping the link to Cooperative Communities. Again, I will update the video description to include all of this stuff. Next week, I will walk us through Cooperative Communities. I am typing the name in again of this book that I am reading. Life is in a transition. And that's all. Absolutely. It's talking about small spaces. Families stay together, kids grow up, and most stay in the same house. Absolutely. That's what we talk about. Have we actually progressed? Where we knew neighbors and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, even Michelle, I swore I wasn't going to forget that, and here I go forgetting that. My use either one of these. Thank you, Michelle, for reminding me, and thank you. I swore I wasn't going to forget. Thank you, love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, Audra is saying losing a parent will have you rethinking life. That's a life quake. Absolutely. Um, a life quake like what we were just talking about. And I'm sorry for that loss, but absolutely. Um, Thank you, Fortner's Garden. All right. Happy Sunday, good folks. Thank you, as always, for showing up and being here. being in community, being a great community, especially to each other. Thank you all so much. Um, Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Have a great week. Um, Intentional living, that's what we're focused on. Um, our new normals, our life quakes, all of those things, that's what we're focused on. I am here in the mix with you. It's okay. It is all right. Thank you all. Thanks for the new folks who have showed up and joined. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, share, like the channel, turn on the notifications so that you'll know when we are here again. Have an awesome week. You also, Teresa. All right, good people. Take care. Happy Sunday. Thank you, Felicia. Felicia. I'm going to mess up somebody's name. I am so sorry if I did. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Talk to you guys soon. All right, Nichelle, I saw your message. Happy Sunday. I look forward to talking to you, Nichelle.